Okay.
Shout
Hey,
out to
Chris.
Edgar. Hey.
Chris is one of our filmmaker, producer, award-winning filmmaker. He's finishing re-editing his film that won an award at the New York Horror Fest. What was it? New York House Fear Fest. I was there. I was excited. If you guys go to the Instagram page, you see him getting an award. He loves making horror films. I know that. After this, you can go talk to him as well. He's been with me. We've been working together for like 11, 12 years now. All right.
Are we in frame? We good? All right.
Oh, so we're going live, right?
Yeah, we're about to go live. Are we ready? We're good to go. All right, so I guess we're going to introduce ourselves again. For everybody that's looking at us live, my name is Ricardo,
My name is Georgia.
and I don't want to say your name again wrong.
No, I like that intro you gave when we were just coming in. I'll let you do it again.
All right, so you guys got to help me. He wants the same interest. So we have.
Should we walk in? Are we going to walk in and everyone clap?
Yeah, sure.
Let's do that.
You know what I'm saying? Recreate it for the people out there. Now we got mics. So mics are hot. You got Edgar in the back. All right.
For those watching us live, get tight on your seats, get your friends, get your popcorn, get your drinks, because we have Bo Can Last and Joe Carrejo.
That's a little bit different from.
All right.
It was more natural the first time.
All
you know?
right.
It's all good.
I like that.
It's just like filmmaking. You got to try to do it the
Yeah.
same way,
Yeah.
take after take, right?
But I like that intro. I thought you did a good job.
Thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you. So, a filmmaker, photographer. I think both of you are running film festivals as well, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. So I am the director of the DC Film Alliance, which manages DC Shorts International Film Festival. And this right here is my programming director extraordinaire. And in the audience, we actually have our director of operations. She wants to remain nameless and till the end. But, you know, shout outs to the whole team. And shout outs to you, Ricardo and Georgia. Thank you. And Kathy for making this possible, you know.
Yes. Tell us about you.
Yeah, so my name is Joe Carabeo. I run Astray Productions, my own production company. I'm a filmmaker, producer, director. But also in this regards, I am the program director of DC Shorts. I'm also the program director of the Awesome Con Short Film Festival. And those are just a few of the film festivals that I've put together way back several years ago. I also ran Project Resolution, which was another revolutionary film festival in Richmond. The list will go on and on. But right now, focus on DC Shorts, one of the possibly the best short film festival in America. I have not been to Europe.
Exclusively short films as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's why it's historic. That's why this team up is historic.
I know, I've been hearing about this issue for so many years. I think it's time for me to submit something. But where are you guys from? Where are you guys from? Are you guys from the DMV? Tell us a little bit.
Made in the Philippines. Shout out to moms and pops. But, you know, spent my formative years here in the DMV. And it was great meeting you guys when you came over, you know, being able to tell our story through this film festival. Because, like you said, we are filmmakers. We've actually worked on a few collaborative projects. But this guy right here, Joe, he's so prolific. Anybody in the audience who's looking to get into the industry, he knows everybody in just about every part of the filmmaking process, right? So regardless of where you are in your career, you should definitely link up with Joe here and of course myself, because we are trying to provide opportunities to first-time filmmakers at the DC Shorts International Film Festival. And we actually just created a new category for students, right, which, you know, links up very well with the DC Media Academy. And music videos. We actually just started music video category, which you think it would be kind of like a no-brainer, right? But DC Shorts has been around for 20 years now. We just celebrated our 20th. We are now entering our 21st, so we're about to be legal.
The new era.
You know, you guys come out and, like, toast up with us. I do see a lot of, you know, maybe liquor sponsors, alcohol sponsors in our future. But, yeah, come on out. We do have, like, as this discussion unfolds, I want to kind of share some of the grandiose plans for this project, so...
You know, and just like Bo, I am 100% Filipino, but I grew up in the DMV, mainly Northern Virginia. And, yeah, I went to film school down at VCU at that time and helped start up that at that time when I first started over VCU, we were not ranked as anything in the independent film world. But by the time halfway in, we were ranked in the top 10 of the best places to make indie movies. So hopefully we help that out with our film festival and just our sort of thought process of we can just do this. We don't have to be Hollywood. I don't know if you guys know my background, but I'm sort of I'm very anti sort of academic in a way, and I'm also not anti-Hollywood, but I know there's another way, and filmmaking is not just Hollywood. I always wanted to separate the idea of Hollywood and filmmaking. Filmmaking can be done outside of Hollywood, but there is the Hollywood way of making films.
Sure.
But also I feel like there's the DMV way of making films. There's the New York way of making films. There's the Austin way of making films. There's the Bo way of making films. There's the DC Academy way of making films. It doesn't just have to be Hollywood. We
Very
all
true.
have our own way of making films. It just happens they latched onto it. But, you know, it's 2020. It's going to be 2024. It's a new media world. You know what I mean? So we don't have to do the old way anymore.
And it's interesting because now, like, what I'm seeing now is that people, they're not even buying, like, fancy equipment. They're doing it with their cell phones. And it's entertaining.
Ricardo, you bring up a great point because what's hilarious to me, right? And maybe this is going to show my age, but, you know, I remember when the DSLRs were coming out and then, like, oh, my goodness, like, the crispness of just, like, the shots. Now everybody wants to go retro with, like, you know what I'm saying, like the Super 8 cameras.
Where I started.
Right. You know, everything's
not
like they
aging
want that
myself.
grain, you know, the graininess. But I'm just like, you know, this whole time we're trying to go for the most crisp, like, picture. But then, you know, once again, it's a stylistic choice. But as Joe said, there's different ways, you know,
So to show my
the
background
vision come
and
alive.
to show a little bit of like where I came from and hopefully my age a little bit at this point, in high school, I did not have a filmmaking class. There was no filmmaking class. I actually had to go to another school, which was in another high school. But within the people in my circle, we made what is called backyard wrestling, which was my
Any wrestling fans
which
out
was
there?
my shortcut.
There you
Hell
go,
yeah,
Edgar,
you are.
yeah.
That he knows what's
Hey.
up. He's part of the revolution too. But we all know pro wrestling's real, right? It's fabricated. It's telling stories. You have characters.
It's a real story.
And that was my in. I was like, well, we know pro wrestling, and they shoot little mini movies. I
With
was
characters, very real characters.
Exactly. And my parents have a camera from, you know, the old one where it's like the VHS on the side and stuff like that. So we literally, that was my intro of like making movies, just a bunch of people. Let's go make these matches and let's do this. I did a little bit of that myself. That's why I'm a little bit, you know, out of my mind. But that's where it comes from. I feel like filmmaking is a circus. You have to be crazy to really do this. Yeah, there's, you know, art involved, but like as you know, once you like delve deep into the actual like the whole entire process, and then you take a moment to step back, you're like, we made a movie. That's freaking insane. That's a miracle. That's crazy. So
Well, it's got to start from a singular thought. Right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
But I think it's so nuts. Like, it's so hard. For one, I learned the hard way just of getting like 5 people together. Let's make a movie. The day comes, it's time to make a movie. Guess what? 3 of those 5 people didn't wake up in time. So now it's just you. That's the part of film. That's part of filmmaking. How do we adjust with that? But yeah, like it came all from backyard wrestling, came from getting a camera. Let's see what we can do. And then at that point, you know, you don't just make a movie for yourself. I feel like a lot of people forget that, like, you make a movie, now what? You gotta get people to see it, which is almost just as difficult as making the movie itself. Which is why I feel it's strange with all the congratulations sometimes. Like, we made a movie. Okay, now what? You get the people that are not in your family to see it. Let's see how awesome it
No,
is.
but to piggyback on what what Joe's talking about, there's this one interview I just saw with Rick Rubin. For anybody who knows, yeah. So
My heroes.
yeah, man, like he was talking about. I guess I just saw the snippet, right? But I didn't see the full interview. But he was talking about, you know, I think to truly be successful or make a successful piece of art, whether it's film, music, or a visual piece, it has to be done for yourself, right? Because if you're creating something for the end user, right? For the consumer, that's a whole different thing, right? That's you're creating this like it's consumerism, right? You're doing something to just try to do something that other people will like. But then a lot of times you see like these big budget movies fall flat or fall short because they're trying to please these different types of wants or these perceived wants, right, by the audience. Whereas if you make something truly for yourself, that's when you can truly unlock that what you were talking about, just like that inner story, right? That true piece that can resonate with the audience that will find that piece of art interesting. So always make something. I don't know what the composition of the audience is, whether you guys are students or already established filmmakers, but that definitely hit me really hard. I was like, you know what, that's really all I've been wanting to do. And to go back on what you were saying about like, all the big studios out in Hollywood, like for me, running the DC Film Alliance and DC Shorts International Film Festival, my goal is to make it so that you guys don't have to move to LA. You don't have to go to New York, right? I want to create a thriving scene locally. As you said, there is a different type of vibe and narrative that can be demonstrated from filmmakers and creatives from here that are putting work out to the world to see what the DMV has to offer.
That's also one of my dreams. It's because you have Brooklyn, they have their own soundstage.
Mhm.
You go to North Carolina, they got their own sound stages.
Right.
I want there to be a great sound stage up here.
Yeah.
One of my goals is, I know it's not in DC, but I go out in Ashburn.
We have it. We're just not using it. The former BT is one of the biggest soundstage in the
There you
East
go.
That's right.
But we were there before we moved here because the management company that took over didn't do well.
Is that where that your trailer for the
Yeah.
Yo, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I was like, whoa.
that's
Amazing.
It's used for concerts. It's
Yeah.
used for live events
Yeah,
and
but
not filmmaking.
now it's done. They left.
See, that's the thing. Is like I go to Ashburn and I see all these buildings. I'm like, oh, the Redskins used to practice. I don't know where they practice now, or not the Redskins. Sorry, what's
The
their name?
Commanders.
The Commanders. Sorry.
I still call them Redskins.
Yeah, but I see all the buildings and stuff. I see all that. I'm like, if we facilitate, we can have awesome sound stages out there too. We can have it all.
Yeah.
We can have it all. I think one of the main problems is there's this idea that, when you leave DC, you go to New York, of course, we're in DC and we're like, oh, let's talk about the people in New York. But, you go to New York, they're not talking about the people in DC. So you go to Philly, they're not talking about DC. It's like I feel like there's some sort of smoke screen that's blocking people from seeing all the greatness of all the creativeness that's happening. And I know that great art is created by struggle. There's so much struggle in DC. It's built
my
upon
God.
struggle, man.
I know.
But it's that struggle. It's that people who are making the struggle, I feel, that is blocking blocking the viewers of people seeing that. And it's about time, which is why it's great. DC Academy, we have all this.
And you know what? To the point that you guys saying, like I went to school in New York. I moved to LA for I think a month. I hate it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm coming back to DC. I'm gonna make it happen in DC no
Right.
matter what. And that's what I've been working on. Like the DC Media Academy is because of that. Every time a production comes from outside, they bring people from outside.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that many local talent, and it's sad because I know people from DC that are working in Atlanta, that are working in New York,
Right.
that are working in LA, and we need to build that film industry. DC historically has been an artist town. We used to have, the Black Broadway on U Street and things like that. All the amazing musicians. I mean, we have our own music. We got go-go here.
Yeah.
So it's like so much talent. But let's talk a little bit about the festival, DC Shorts. Like, how do people get in? How do you guys make the selection so they are aware and things like that? And what happens when people because I know a few filmmakers that started making shorts and now they're full-time
time
directors and all
Feature film directors, yeah.
Well, I'd like to, I'd like to say that there's sort of a secret society that's in control of how people's films get in, like all film festivals.
There is? Do tell.
It's just as simple submitting It's easy because all film festivals these days you can go to Film Freeway, and what I like to do when you go to Film Freeway is search a town. You know, like you can search Washington D.C. DC Shorts will pop up there, and you can submit to. I took that photo, by the way. You can
Oh, whoa.
go to Film Freeway, search DC Shorts, easy. Just click, check out, right there. You can submit your film. And with and that way you get to see all the other film festivals that are happening around here too.
We did make some adjustments. Like before, it had to be a minimum of 2 minutes and max 40. We lowered that down to it can be as short as 30 seconds if you can tell your story in 30 seconds, and max 30 minutes. So like we kind of remixed it a little bit, and then we added the categories.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Joe was saying, anybody can submit. You don't have to be an established filmmaker. I mean, if you go out right now after this panel discussion and make a film that's a minute long, you can upload it. I mean, I'm not going to say, it may.
I don't know what's going to get in.
It may or may not get in, but you just go ahead and, pay the submission fee, and it gets reviewed by our team. And yeah, I mean, you never know. One thing that I really want to actually emphasize for this upcoming 21st anniversary, and you can get this word out to all of your musician or any of those types of friends who are musically inclined. We're actually aiming to blend the worlds of like music festivals and film festivals. So if you think like what South by Southwest, how it started, right, as a regional type of film festival, I want that to happen right here, because we do it right in Northeast, right, Rhode Island Avenue at the Alamo. Anybody familiar with the Alamo Draft House?
I love it.
You guys were there. So
I
you
love
and
it.
Georgia and Kathy.
We used to be just, our office used to be 2 blocks, but I love it. They got the best food. They got drinks. They got milkshakes.
Beautiful. Shout outs to Cassandra, Michael, Megan, the whole entire team that's there. But they always take care of the DC Shorts family.
It's such a comfortable place to watch movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the main thing. You sit there.
Reclining seats.
And also when you sit in there, you just feel like you're part of cinema. You feel like, oh, this is where I should be watching.
And if your film, actually, if your submission gets in, to see your work on the big screen is a feeling like no other. So, that's something that if you are a filmmaker, I mean, it's definitely one of those things like to have, because I think the Alamo has the largest commercial theater where we did our award show. And that was another thing that we kind of switched up from before. So since we've taken, over, like DC Shorts already has that storied history, right? Like they've definitely over the last 20 years have made some amazing contributions to the industry. But when it came to the actual, especially after the pandemic, or I guess after everything was messed up by the pandemic, right? We decided to switch some things around, and one of those things was to get rid of the filmmaker brunch and actually make a award show. So when we were conceptualizing this with our awesome director of operations, we're like, let's do, because we're making comparisons. We're like, let's do the Golden Globes meets the VMAs.
I felt like the phrase that when it was you and I and Anovic, when we were discussing the structure of it, the key phrase we kept on saying was like, why don't we?
Right.
Why don't we just do that?
That's another lesson. Like, just, sometimes you got to just do it, and sometimes you're going to fail. You might fall flat on your face, but it's really about how you get up and, kind of dust your shoulders off and keep it moving. And a lot of that happened in terms of the prep, and just like any organization or any type of creative process, right? You're going to do things. It may not work, but then you kind of like evolve from trying. So yeah, I mean, I want you guys to like get the word out to your musician friends, because we are going to try to make this big. Because if you're familiar with the Alamo, right across the street is Metro Bar. Shout out to Metro Bar. But they have a nice like outdoor stage. We're gonna like we've already been talking to Bryant Street. The entire like property. Want to shut down the whole property, build a stage, have our LED trucks out there, and really just make it this
like DC
crazy
Shorts
experience.
Town.
Yeah, we're gonna make it. For those 5 days, we're gonna definitely make it so that you once again bring that world class feel back to.
It's gonna be like when you go to an amusement park like Universal Studios, and it's like you see like the whole block of like, oh man, we're in this.
The Jurassic Park doors open.
It's like,
Yeah.
This is where we are.
But that's the goal, and we need you guys, right? You guys need to go ahead and make these films. Create the content that we're going to be showcasing, or the music that we're going to be hearing in the streets. So we definitely need you guys to get involved. We got some time. It's going to happen in September. September 4th to 8th are the dates that we have lined up. So mark your calendars right now. We definitely want you guys to be a part of it.
It's crazy because like the lineage and legacy of DC Shorts like perfectly aligns with my filmmaking career. Like 2003 is literally when I
Serendipitous.
made my first short film. And
I
it
did
just-
not know that. That's very cool.
Yeah, I'm guessing, but like that's how it is.
Oh, he's selling a story.
Professionally, I guess.
Got
yeah. But it just makes sense. So
You have any questions?
I was just gonna say, it really is special to see your short on a big screen, like they were saying. Like the Alamo Draft House, I go to Howard, and when they did the thesis films, we also showcased it there. And all of the films that I worked on with my friends from Howard were able to be seen on the big screen. And I want to be optimistic and say this is probably not the last time that your films will be shown on a big screen, but the first time that they're shown up there and you know that your name is on it is very special. So I would definitely suggest submitting.
Tell us about the different categories that you guys have. Like, I know now you have music. What else? If you can just give us a few then of the most popular ones and all that.
well, usually the most popular one, like anyone, the audience loves like comedy. But also last year was the first time we sort of had like a genre day.
Right.
That was going to be sci-fi, action, suspense, stuff like that in one day. And I felt that people, those sold out.
Well, the local docs was sold. Was the
That's
first
sold out
one
too.
was the first showcase to sell out.
So I
like,
guess
right
the
away.
that's a tough question because last year they all sold out. So I guess they're
No,
all
but,
good.
see, but to that point, look, documentary shorts, it's just like that. You can shoot on your cell phone, like right now, right?
Yeah.
You're capturing. If you just go ahead and just edit it all together, and then have some commentary from some people who are in the audience, talking about this moment in time, that right there, you're creating a film and creating that type of submitting it to our documentary. But what we have animation as well.
Yeah, so we had the animation, we had local docs, we had international stuff. So I mean,
Was all
It's all-
everybody submits from
everything's
everywhere.
in that.
Yeah.
Yes, so we love that drama. What's
Drama,
happening?
yeah. I like the
LBG
category for the
LGBTQ, right?
But you had the date night.
Oh yeah, we had date night was a
Yeah.
category too. We
Yeah.
had post date night was a category because people are always like up the fairy tale is up to like the kiss, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to have a block
Talk
that was like
about
what happens
in the
afterwards?
aftermath.
Tell me about the first kid. Tell me about like meeting the
First
parents.
kiss, the first kid. That's pretty good.
Yeah, tell me about that. Tell me
Yeah.
about how bad the wedding goes. Like those are cool things.
Yeah.
I love that part. So I like to have.
I'm gonna say Joe did a phenomenal job curating because he did what most people do with like old school mixtapes. Where you kind of like figure
I
out
made
the
so many
flow of like
mixtapes.
what this song is gonna do to the audience member, and then hit them with a little this and a little bit of that.
I would
So,
say that is how I structure things. Very much like a concert or mixtape.
I love it.
Is you take the audience on an experience, that makes the choosing the films a challenge too. It's sort of like, okay, it's like which one would register with the audience, because
Yeah.
it's like people make horror movies, right? There's no real measure of like this one's a better horror movie
scare.
than this, as
Yeah.
long as the filmmaker put all their blood and guts of their own blood and guts into a movie and it's successful in their mind. There's no balance to say like that's a bad movie.
That's right.
The
That's why
only-
it goes back to creating that art for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So without they made a movie that's a success. The challenge of running a film festival to me has always been now how do we get the audience to feel like what they watched as a whole is a success? Because I feel like we have to. I've been making movies for a long time. I've been on, if my invoice is correct, over 800 shoots in my whole lifetime.
Wow.
So with that, I've been to festivals and I've sat through a lot of festivals, and there are times where I'm just like, I need to leave because you're just like, you're just like, okay, that's good, but now this one didn't play well for me, and that's the challenge: is how do we get the audience to not just stay for their film, but to enjoy the whole thing. And as our team, that's the hardest part, to be like, where do we put the hit? Where does this play? Do we got to bring them down? We got to bring them up.
Right.
And so there's no like easy in. It's like, can it connect with the audience? And then cool. The challenge has always been like, these two ones are great, but we can't have the same romance angle. We can't have two movies about chocolate, so that's always been the part, because we know there's a million filmmakers out there.
Yeah.
It's so strange now. When I started making films, and I looked up to like Tarantino, Steven Soderbergh, Sam Raimi and Coen Brothers are my heroes. Back then, when I started making films, I was like, this is such a rare thing. Oh my goodness, a camera, right? So you took pressure, you took like pride in the fact that like, I got a camera, I gotta make something great. Like there's that responsibility, because like no one had a camera. But now that like Bo has a camera, now that Anavic has a camera, everyone's telling their story. But then that's the challenge of like, how is this one special? And that's why I always tell people, filmmakers, where it's like, when you make your story, when you tell your film, when you get your crew together, and you dig deep in your heart, what exactly, when someone steps away from watching your film, what is that one thing that they can watch from your film that they can't see anywhere else? That is that's the thing that I'll look for, and that Bo will look for, and our secret society will look for, to be like, we need to show that, because we can't see that anywhere else.
And that's one of the reasons I also got into film. Like, I want to see more Latino stories. I want to see more Filipino stories.
Yeah.
I want to see more of the Black DC stories and all that. Like I'm tired of seeing, just a gay cowboys couple, a couple that made in Hollywood, like all these.
The Latino version.
I want to see the Latino version. I want to see, the Black version. I want to and I feel that that's another thing that we're missing, even like now, like they say 25% of Latinos are consuming content, but we only 2% of producers.
Wow.
Now, I don't know how it is for Filipinos and Asians and all that as well, but I want to see.
if we go to the Philippines, there's a whole bunch of filmmakers there.
Yeah.
It's more or less, it's about the infiltration, right? It's like, how do we, because of course there's like, we got the specifically the Asian festivals, right? That's what's interesting about this. That's what's interesting about what we have to do, is our goal is to make sure we have the whole recipe of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that there's no Black filmmakers. It's not there's no Filipino filmmakers. There's not like both Filipinos out there. It's more or less the fact of like, I like using the phrases. I like using the term as the gatekeepers, right? Mm-hmm. Who are the gatekeepers of the year? What is, because I make comics. I'm a photographer. I make music. We've seen the trends happen. We've seen like, oh, this is the year where the gay movies are coming up. Oh, now we have the Latino films coming up. I mean, Inoritu, one of my favorite filmmakers, one of the three Mexican directors, always winning Oscars every year. It's like they're there. Guillermo del Toro, Mexican, freaking on top of it. They're absolutely there and killing it. Mm-hmm. It's more or less the audience is telling us, at least in my impression, the audience is telling us what they want to see.
Yeah, but to Ricardo's point, because I was in the Philippines for over a decade, actually just doing stuff in the industry prior to moving back here, and there was a lot of garbage being spewed out by the industry, because it's just
that's why I couldn't watch it.
Right, it's more of the same, right? They go with a formula that they know kind of just people will buy tickets for. They cast the same stars, you know what I mean? It's like that. What's cool about what's happening now, and Anavic actually found this really dope like Filipino horror film that we watched, and you could see the quality has elevated. And I think that's because now that there is, like, for example, people are shooting on different mediums, right? And just like kind of using different ways to tell their stories, like where it doesn't have to be like huge budgets, and they're getting creative, so they don't have to put like a lot of money into post production. There's there's a lot more effort and consideration in the storytelling and the execution of that storytelling. So I even think that in that regard, to your point and Ricardo's point, it's now that it's weird though, because now that everybody has access and then they can upload whatever, there is a lot of like less than stellar content to kind of sift through.
Well,
right?
let's decipher this word content for a second.
Okay.
I'm gonna have
All right, let's have a
I'm gonna have this debate right now of content. Have you had
Here
this
we go.
debate about content?
Yes.
Do you guys like the word content?
No, I don't.
Here we go.
I'm with you, because whenever I hear the word content, and I've been through the content flow, I feel like the word content is not cinema. Content is filler, because a lot of times I've worked for many companies or many channels. Like, I just need content. I just need to fill it up with something. It almost sounds like people don't care what they're putting on. They just need to fill something. And I don't know about you, but when you make something, like sometimes I feel like, remember when Black Friday just happened, right? Back in the day, we used to be able to go to Walmart, and they have that $3 bin of just like movies and DVDs that you've never seen before, and you read it, and you're just like, oh, it's just like this movie, but the name changed. It's like they know they didn't care about it, but the companies just had to fill a quota of DVDs. To me, that $3 bin, that's content. Because it's sort of like they're just making it to fill something, but doesn't have a real personal attachment, except for the fact of like, oh, we're making money, which I'm not against. We all gotta make money. we all gotta make money. But I feel like
but you don't have to make it so terrible.
Yeah.
Right, I'm saying.
There's a mentality.
Edgar feels
now.
me.
I just find myself battling that phrase content.
And it's funny because sometimes even when people call me, they're like, "We want a videographer," and I'm like, "I'm a filmmaker.
Yeah.
I'm
Or
a
cinematographer.
Cinematographer. I'm a storyteller. You know."
And then you're like, how much?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not. When we come and we shoot things, even if it is a birthday party, even if it is a wedding, sometime we always try to tell a story.
Yeah.
And we look for those scenes that are, that when people look at it, they're like, oh, so cute,
Yeah.
It's not just like me shooting and then catching, trying to figure out what's my best shot. It's like I'm looking for those scenes. I'm looking.
Not just capturing the moment, but recreating
recreating
that
and looking
emotional response.
You're trying to capture the heart.
Yeah.
You're looking for that. You're looking for the shot that when they see it 10 years from now, it's going to make them cry.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, "I'm very thankful I got you," as opposed to something else.
Exactly.
That's what we want.
Exactly. So, storytelling is if you know how to tell the stories, it's not the same thing, like, to me. But you're right. Content, cinematography, filmmaker, I think it is a big difference. Because I can pull out my phone and I can tell you a quick story, and that's content. But can I go and film the story I'm telling you and film it in an engaging way that you entertain? It's not easy.
Right.
It's not hard either. The more you do it, the better you become. Yeah. But it's a process.
I just see myself being challenged to say, like, oh, I want to. If we're just saying all this is content. Oh, here's Fargo, a movie I love so much, and then there's also next to him is a video of a girl like asking people 10 questions and she has big boobs. It's like, oh, that's all content? Or, you know what I mean? There's nothing against the girl with big boobs asking questions about if she's hot or not, but like there is a difference in that aesthetic. People should still watch both because they should watch what they love, but it's also a mentality. It's just, there's a thing. There's a potent thing. There's a poison that we drink to make this thing beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all like supply and demand too, right? I mean, people.
It's like you have YouTube. We need to fill YouTube with
That's what it is, right? That's why there's a lot of that.
It's crazy. There used to be a time, and I battled this too when I had Project Resolution. Project Resolution was a monthly film festival I had in Richmond. We did it every single month. People would bring their films in, and you get feedback. But there was a time, it was at the beginning of YouTube, and YouTube had like a YouTube video look.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, we're just throwing some stuff up there. There was a time where YouTube was like, oh, we're just throwing crap up there so people can laugh and giggle.
Yeah.
And it still is.
That was the beginning of the algorithm and
Yeah.
them researching what is going to get clicks, so yeah. But
So we're getting close to the hour, but before that, I want to see.
Already.
Yeah,
Dang.
it gets pretty
It's our
fast.
show. Let's expand it.
Yeah, we can expand it. We can do whatever. Do you guys have any questions? I mean, right now is your opportunity to ask questions. A
And
direct.
I'll answer any questions in regards of all film production. I've worked every single job except for makeup because I can't do eyebrows worth anything. But I've done. I started out.
You did mine. No.
I've never actually been a production assistant. I started out in sound. I went to grip, went to gaff, then went into cinematography because I was always a photographer. And the whole goal was, I remember Hitchcock saying, if you want to understand filmmaking, you should understand every single job. So I wanted to learn every job so I can learn how to communicate what I want, as opposed to just assuming it's easily done. So
I'm glad that Joe actually mentioned that because this past iteration of DC Shorts was actually our love letter to the industry. Because if you notice, all the panel discussions were for everybody from G&E all the way to, the writers and, everybody, the PAs, right? The unsung heroes on set, right? I think we had just about
that was
everything.
a great panel too.
Yeah, it was. And that's the thing we wanted to showcase all the people, the unsung heroes. That's why, my wife and I love to we're the ones that you see in the movie theater at the end and just watching all the names scroll through because, all those people that you don't know, whose faces, are just anonymous, those people made what you just witnessed on screen happen. So, yeah, we'll take the questions.
This question is for either both of you, whoever wants to answer it. But what made you want to get into the filmmaking industry when you're 10 years old, 12? You're like, I want to do a film because I want to bring stories to friends, or just you thought movies were cool? I don't know.
It's actually similar to what Joe was describing. We had my father, he invested in just a camcorder just for our family to document sports games and family birthdays. But then I'd mess around with the settings and then see those cool things that you could put to superimpose an image, like a frozen frame over this. And me and my brother and my sisters, right? They would be my first subjects. So I just go around and, kind of tell stories in that way, which probably made no sense to anybody except me. But, yeah, that's kind of how it really started. My love for capturing videos, but then being such a fan of movies and then just seeing these epic tales being told through this 2-hour escape from reality.
So elementary school, I wanted to be a comic book artist. So my history has this way of failing upward. I'd read comics and I'd want to be a penciler and I'd want to draw how the comic book artists do. But every year goes by and I'm like, I'm not good enough to do this. I can't draw how they do it. And they're amazing. And then so from that I'm like, well, what's easier than drawing? Photography in my map. My mom was a photographer. I was like, hey, cool, let's do that. And then of course you take photography and learn to compose. And of course, I'm not shooting the things that people wanted, that's the typical, this is Ansel Adams, this is that. So I was like, okay, where else can I find my spark? So how can I merge these two things I love? And there was a show on the CW. How many of you guys are old enough to remember a TV show called Dawson's Creek? You do? So, exactly. That was the first. I love movies, too. I love doing that. But then everyone knows Dawson was a wannabe filmmaker, and for some reason, that was the first time that ever clicked in my head. I was like, wait a minute, we can just make movies? I don't have to go to a studio system. It could be me and my friends making movies. That was the first door. Though it sounds so embarrassing because look at me. I'm like, oh yeah, Dawson's Creek with, James Vanderbeek and Katie Holmes, Joshua Jackson. But that was so inspiring because it was this Hollywood, but your youthful way of filmmaking, and I was like, that seems so cool to get my gang together and make a movie, and then still have our lives intertwined in that. And I was watching
Just
that,
like the proverbial creek
yeah, and
that leads to the ocean.
so that was how I was mentally. But then I talked about this at DC Shorts too. So that was one side of the spectrum. Then Blair Witch Project came out in 1999, and I was like, "Holy crap, that's
Shout outs Merlin.
Yeah, that's totally outside of the Hollywood system style. That's like we don't even need a set.
Well, the marketing was genius for that
Yeah,
because they just made it.
I was here. I remember I was in Georgetown, and I saw the poster of the missing student filmmaker.
exactly.
And I was like, and I thought that was real.
This is real.
Yeah.
I thought it
This-
was true that these
Man.
people went missing.
Genius.
And like to me, like that crossed that border of like because I don't know about you, one of my favorite directors of all time is still Orson Welles, and I remember the history of War of the Worlds when it was like a radio show and people thought it was real. So it's like this idea of like people believing in what you're doing and crossing that line. It's like I need to somehow do that. Again, what happens? Crosses over into pro wrestling, comes into that. So this all sort of comes in. But Dawson's Creek, then wanted to be a filmmaker, pro wrestling, then just having those ideas of like this is what we're gonna do. There was never an idea after that of like I'm not gonna. There's no backup plan.
Right on.
How do I make
Yeah.
a living doing this?
I love that question too, and it kind of as I'm listening to Joe speak again, and this is why we were great because he's saying all these things. I'm just like, because for all the student filmmakers out there, or just like even a casual filmmaker. I mean, I think don't be afraid to be inspired by what you see and actually trying to replicate that because Orson Welles, if you're talking about like
Came
him
from
as a
theater.
filmmaker, yeah, he came from theater, but he also I remember I read it where he took a lot of his like iconic shots he borrowed from some of his favorite films, so like I would say like obviously just don't outright bootleg somebody, like, but don't be afraid to be inspired by those around you.
I'll cross this over to pro wrestling again. So like in Japan,
Let's go.
they ask you to make your pro wrestling character. You have to take 3 of the characters that you like, and then merge that into you. So the same thing.
That's
I
cool.
was always like, what is the 3 filmmakers of me? I was like, Sam Raimi, Coen Brothers, and Martin Scorsese.
Okay.
And forever, that's still ingrained. Those top 3
Interesting.
has always been that. And like somehow you could see that a little bit, but I feel like I'm not gonna say
Ricardo, can you
follow
answer that? Who are the 3?
top 3.
I have a question for you. Do you have 3 filmmakers that you kind of model yourself or your style?
It's okay to be embarrassed.
No. I'm going to mention one person that has influenced a lot, and that's Christopher Strack. He's sitting back there.
Hey.
And I
Okay.
think he's an amazing filmmaker. Sometimes he gets too much into the perfectionist, and that's sometimes. But I believe that he can do a lot, and I have learned a lot from him.
Sure.
Another one, like I love Quentin Tarantino. I mean, this guy writes amazing scripts, dialogues that I'm like what, and then it takes your mind into another, you start imagining more things and all that. I mean, Francis Ford Coppola, I think I like him, Orson Welles. I studied Orson Welles too. I mean, yeah, like you cannot become a filmmaker without Orson Welles. I mean, he is one of the people that kind of set up the way, when you look at Citizen Kane.
Citizen Kane is the film that I was referring to where
Yeah.
some of those iconic.
Yeah, like if you
Framing.
watch Citizen Kane, like without any sound, you still know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of filmmaking. Like I always, when I teach filmmaking, I always tell people, don't tell me in words what's going on. Show me what's going on and things like that. And that is so important. And I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, right now from the top of my head. But I also wanted to answer to what she says too. Like the first movie I saw, I was 8 years old in the movie theater. That was Flash Gordon. And ever since then, this is like 1983, so this kind of gives you an idea how old I am. But it was like, I was amazed. If you ever get to see, I think Flash Gordon
Flash Gordon's awesome.
it's all like they have angels flying. It was like this guy went out of space. They had like green blood. It was just incredible. And ever since then, like I dream of filmmaking. And it was so hard. Like I went to to film school in New York, and I couldn't enter the industry. And you know, I did other things. But then when the digital cameras came, I'm gonna follow my dream again. You know, I've been doing this since like what 38. So don't give up on your dream. If this is what you want to do, it's about telling stories. You know, one of the things that somebody said is that God is a creator, and that is our connection also to God, like create things. Jesus is a storyteller. So as filmmakers, we're telling stories too. So that's something. Sometimes society want to put you in a box. Oh, you know what? Why are you gonna do that? Why don't you get a real job? I'm like, what you mean?
People still say that.
People still say that. So like, follow your dream, tell the stories,
Yeah.
get a camera, use your cell phone, use whatever. Call people. There's people out there that want to make movies. Get together with people,
Sure.
do it.
Now, we say that it's such a good story to tell, but there's also good examples of that too. A couple of my heroes. One, I may not be a fan of all of his movies, but Robert Rodriguez, such a trailblazer in what he did. Do you guys know Robert Rodriguez? He was not.
It was my inspiration too.
Exactly, but the whole I wanted what he did. He was like, okay, I'm not going to work in the Hollywood system. I'm going to stay in Austin. I'm going to edit at my house. I'm going to have the soundstage in my town. He just like, I'm going to keep it here. I'm going to keep the budget low. Like back in that day, he brought in the digital camera with George Lucas. He borrowed the George Lucas camera and he started making his with the Spy Kids. Were one of the first movies to be shot in digital and also 3D in the Revolution. I wanted what he did. I was like, I don't want to leave my hometown. Why am I going to go to Hollywood? One, mudslides, earthquakes, the people. You know what I mean?
The people, he said.
So it's like, I was like, there's so many good stories we can tell in this area. We have everything that we need.
Cosign.
Except for desert, unless you can tell me where there's desert around here. Yes, we have to go to West
Hit
Virginia.
that
for that.
soundstage and the green screen.
But we got it all. But like, I love that idea of like Robert Rodriguez is like, hey, I'm just gonna stay here. I can edit my house. I can make my own sound stages in my house. The same thing with M. Night Shyamalan. M. Night Shyamalan doesn't. We're used to. I'm not sure on the recent one because I was.
He films in Philly most of it.
Yeah, like he doesn't. Last I heard, doesn't want to shoot anywhere 45 minutes or an hour and a half away from his house.
Wow.
So I'm like, that's a great idea.
There you go.
I mean, people in New York, I think it's easier for people to do that in New York because they're like, well, I don't have a car. I can't leave or something like that.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like that's like, you can do that in New York because it's right there. But I feel like you have these places like they've already done it down the line.
And I feel like over here you still have the freedom of like being independent when you create your art.
Right.
Yeah.
Like when I was in New York, like you have to go like the industry.
Work with
You
the
have to-
union.
with the union, with the permits, with everything.
Yeah.
Not saying the union's bad.
Yeah.
Union's awesome, but I'm not saying that.
But it's become more difficult, you know, if you trying to make an independent film or, you know, guerrilla style, how they call it, it's harder, you know.
Yeah. And also you got to understand, at least from my perspective, I might get controversial here. Can I get controversial?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's think of the idea of filmmaking, right? We need a big camera. We need a big crew. We need lots of food and lots of this. That sounds like a lot of money. Only certain people get a lot of money. It sounds like sort of like at first, the beginning, filmmaking could have been only for elite status there, that they would only hush down and be like, no, you can't shoot like that. This is our camera. So it was a rarity. So, but like the door is down now. We can do that, but there's still that mentality though. So
Yeah, like you know, I always tell my student, when I went to film school in 1999, 3 minutes of film cost $20.
still does.
Probably. But if you shot something and you did it wrong, like you just lost money.
That's it. Yeah.
That's like that means like it was painful, you know. So now I understand why they would like make sure everything. Now it's like with digital cameras.
Right.
Oh, we don't like it. Let me just press delete. Let's shoot again.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? It's like so I'm a big fan. You've already heard about this. I'm a big fan of not cutting. Like if I can not cut in
That's
my
true.
movie,
Just the steady
1917,
shot.
if I could just have a
continuous
continuous scene, I would love it. So, but you'd think with the digital era, we would just like not, you'd cut all the time because you like this. But now I'm like, oh, we can roll for like 10 minutes, so I can make a whole entire 10-minute shot. I literally just did a music video that was a 6-minute one take, because my theory is that when you cut, whenever all you are filmmakers, right? Are you a filmmaker? Yeah. My theory, and it's always been like this, is that when you cut, you're reminding the audience that you're making a film, that this is fake, this is a movie. And my whole idea is I need to trap,
immerse.
Exactly. I don't want to let people go. So I'm like, if I don't cut and I can make it interesting and compose each way, Orson Welles did it too, with Touch of Evil. The beginning, first 15 minutes, one take. I was like, you don't let the audience out. It's such a perfect thing for like who someone said they'd make the horror movie. Like that's it. Yeah, like horror films. Oh my goodness, like so perfect. Can I just talk film as opposed to talking about myself? Sure. So there's so many elements as a filmmaker that I feel that I learned from working film. So when I first worked I was a sound mixer, I started realizing that like a lot of people, they just record audios like here's the person speaking, and they don't use 50% of their movie as a weapon. Like say like in Signs, right? The movie Signs. M. Night Shyamalan had us staring at a wall and you just hear what's happening outside. I saw that and that blew my mind. That's low budget filmmaking right there. Oh, I'm going to film this wall and I'm just going to record an alien sound killing somebody.
Right on.
How much does that take? That's the most genius.
It's a lot of pre-prod.
Like through the whole film, you never saw the
You never see it. That's freaking genius.
It
to me.
is.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy. We live in a CGI world. We got to show everything, but then I don't want to see everything, man. You know what I mean? It's like it's better.
That
if I
actually
see the
makes
boobs
it
later
more
on.
horrifying. If you think about like some of the great like scare tactics, it's what you don't see.
And that works also with romance, romantic comedy. What's the theory of romantic comedy? The two people that hate each other in the beginning, what's going to happen at the end? Yeah, that's the same thing with a monster. You don't reveal it until the end. That's the thing with editing. We don't reveal it. We pull the audience along. And that's the same thing with the film festival. I want to pull them along the whole entire block.
Right on.
So that's like filmmaking to me is just this constant build of reveals.
Yeah.
This constant build of reveals. Like you compose to reveal something. You use your sound to reveal something. That's all we're doing.
Yep.
We're documentaries. We're revealing the truth, right? It's like you're using the right lens with a focal length to reveal slowly with that focus or being sharp of what you want the people to see. It's this magical manipulation that I love, right, Bo?
That's right. That's why I want you guys to compose your network, because the more you build it up, the further we can string this process along and together and create something really meaningful.
I'm sorry if I'm just
Questions?
ranting. I just
Any
ran
more
forever.
questions?
Yeah.
Any other
Give me a hard production question.
Unfortunately, I have to leave here very soon, but I just wanted to say.
What's your name?
Bronson.
Bronson?
Hey,
Yeah.
Bronson.
Named after Charles Bronson.
Hey.
Yeah.
Action Bronson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Action Bronson too. I just wanted to say I really liked what you guys had to say. I'm really interested in your comic series too, by the way, because
Cool.
I'm interested in comics myself, and my one question was, is there any correlation you've seen between writing a story for a comic and writing a story for a film?
So what's really great is that I learned so much. So when I first graduated from film school, one of my teachers was like, okay, visually cool, but you need to learn, you need to write more. So you just get into that world of writing. The only way to get better is to continuously do it, practice and practice.
That's anything.
I learned a lot from writing. There's two different script formats, but so when you write a comic book, you write for the page turn. I learned that you write for the page turn, you write for the reveal, and you write for the page count. So that was a big challenge because when you're writing for a script, you're just like, 1 minute per page, or 1 page is 1 minute, blah, blah, blah. But you're not really, unless you're working on TV, you're not going in a certain direction of like, like if you write for TV, 8 minutes as a commercial, and you got to write towards that act. But if it's a feature film, you're still building towards 30-minute acts or something like that. But what I learned from writing comics is actually made me a better editor. Because when I write a comic, I have to literally be the director, cinematographer, and writer all in one, because I got to lay out the shot, and I got to lay out how it's going to be composed. Now, when I'm doing filmmaking, now I can look at it because I'm like, I know the shot I need, because when I do comics, I lay it all the way out. Some would say that's the same as storyboarding, but it's almost reverse in a way, because you can be a little looser. But writing comics made me tighter as an editor, and made me tighter as in seeing the shot that I really needed. Because there's no take two. It's just you give the script to my artist, and they translate that, so you have to be as precise as you can. The difference is, when I write Black Magic Tales, as you can tell, there's a flying car, but I write a comic specifically because I don't want this to be a movie. I write it so it can't be a movie. So I use the medium as it potentially can. I write with no budget, because that's the one thing that always sort of killed me when I'm writing my own movies, is that you have the writer who dreams big. You have the director that's like, oh, we can make that happen. But then there's the producer that's like, that's going to be expensive. We can't do it. So you get battled by the fact of like, you can't do it. I'm like, well, okay, then I guess take out these pages. So those are those lessons. You're always going to be battling the money versus creativity. And it could be a good thing, because like we said, with signs, we can't show the aliens, just show the wall where you do the sound. So with filmmaking, you do have unique creative solutions, which actually, what's cool is the more film production experience that you learn, like on set, how to put stuff together, it actually bleeds into the real
Apply
world,
it
because you start
ways.
solving problems that I call people who don't make movies civilians. People who are not in the industry, it's like, oh yeah, because civilians will walk by and they don't know what an Apple box is, and you're like, oh, an Apple box can be a chair, oh, it can set a table, it can do a million things. So,
right on.
But again, there's the circus insanity of doing that. I always say filmmaking is a mixture of, like doing a wedding every single day, and everyone who's had a wedding knows how crazy a wedding can be. So.
Thank you.
I hope that helps.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Bronson.
My name is Shayon. I was asking, what kind of advice would you give to someone if they want to make reels or make videos, but they don't know where to start, or they don't have any ideas?
So the question is, you don't have ideas. Where do you get ideas?
Yeah.
So one of these things that I really, and this became a competitive part of me. Let me ask you this: do you have a phone?
Yes.
Or do you have a notepad?
Yeah. That's what I use.
Do you ever write ideas in your phone?
Yes.
How many ideas do you have?
Come to like
More than 10?
10, yeah, around there.
So you're telling me you have no ideas?
You got 10 right there in your phone, bro.
I mean, sometimes I'm like, oh, how should I have to think about it a lot, and then I have to write it down.
Sure.
Just don't think about it. Write it down. See, the real thing is, you'll run into this a lot. I run into this a lot. Bo probably runs into this a lot. Because Bo and I are both, I call us executors. When the problem with us, someone gives us an idea, we'll do it. But you'll run into a lot of people that come to you with their ideas. You know what I mean? There's so many people with ideas, but they don't want to do it. They want you to do it. But what about your idea? So I say stock up. What's this? David Lynch. Are you a fan of David Lynch?
I've heard of it.
What did he say? What makes a feature film?
Ideas.
He basically was like, I'll do my David Lynch. Hey, so to make a feature film, all you gotta do is write down 75 ideas, and then you have a feature film.
That's it.
Each idea is a scene. If you have 75 of them, that's a lot of scenes, man.
That's a great impression.
So then you look at those ideas together, and then you just gut it. So a lot of times what I do for when I make my stories is I make a wish list of things I want to happen to a character. And I got this actually from Alan Moore, one of my favorite comic book writers. Is you build the world, build the character, and you play God. So if I'm like, okay, if there's Bo, it's like, okay, Bo is this person, right?
Yes, I am.
Let's learn about Bo. This has nothing to do about filmmaking. This is more about stories. Let's learn about Bo. Bo wears this hat. He loves this
The
hat.
infamous beanie.
We never see Bo without this hat.
Never.
Would it be fun if someone tries to take this hat away from him?
Yeah. It
Let's
would
make
be.
that into a movie. How but then like, wait a minute. Yeah, we can. It's like they're so simple. I'm always like,
That's going to be a feature film.
Situations and wants. You create a character. Tell us what they want. Tell us what they don't want, and then play with that. What will happen if this happens? Bo loves this hat. What if some morning Bo doesn't have a hat? Is he happy that day? Does he run into the love of his life that day because all of a sudden his love of his life is like, oh, I like your hair.
Oh.
Sometimes I like to think of the ending first. So in this case, Bo dies at the end. So like, how do we get to the end?
That all stories usually, if it's based on real life, that's what happens to the character. Yeah.
How do we get there? So this is the same thing with the production side and the writing side. You have to break things down. It's like, okay, we'll break it down. Okay, today it's like we have a script. Let's break down how many scenes, break down what we need in the scene, break down. We need this for catering. But when it comes to like the writing part, it's the same thing. Break down this character. Who are these people? And not only that, but where are we? Bo lives in the DMV. Does that affect him?
It's cold.
So it's so easy to make a story.
Need that
where you
hat.
just develop this world. But sometimes I understand that it's hard to develop a world, and that's when we steal. So that's when we just look around people. We're like, this dude has dreads. It's like where there's so many things. Life is giving us stories. It's like Picasso just steals, man. Does that help your question? Where do you get ideas?
Don't overthink. That would be my advice as well.
And
Just keep
also-
writing these ideas down.
But
And
also,
also read. I think read. Like
Yeah.
read books. Find books to read and all
Sure.
that. Like I think reading, like find books that people usually don't read, or like just look for stories and
Yeah.
read. There's stories everywhere.
exactly.
There's
But
Yeah, some of the most prolific writers I know read the newspaper like religiously. I mean,
newspaper.
I say this really crucially though. Write down, make it as a what do I want to see? What is your wish list? Because that to me is now you're writing as the audience, and you'll be like, okay, I wish this would happen. Because you want to see this. You are the audience. You want to see it. Because if it's like if you want to see it, hopefully Bo. Sorry,
I want to find my beanie. Who took my beanie? You know what I mean?
It's weird because all this sort of makes sense, but sometimes it's easy if someone just sort of tells you. It's like like when I was like, oh, you have a phone, you write down ideas all the time. It's like you already have ideas, man. Just don't be afraid to step up to the plate and be like, tell Bo I want to make this idea.
But
I-
you
yeah.
you got stories too. It's a sad thing that happened. But for example, this guy in Arlington who blew up the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I think about it, like what was going through his mind, or how did he get there, or like and I start like creating ideas and imagine things.
Right.
You know what happened when I saw that? Did you see the new Scorsese movie? Did you see it? They had a blown up house in that too, right? That's the first thing that happened when I saw that. It's like, dude, someone's trying to like hide this murder that's happening in this house.
Probably.
Right? You thought the same thing. It's like someone's covering it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah. That's what's cool. It's like I think also it's important for you to have a group of friends that you can just like, can I curse? Just that you can just shoot ideas to. I'm so dangerous with me and one of my writing partners, Brian Sarvis. You put us in a room, you give us anything. 2 hours later, script, anything. Bo's hat. It's just like you can figure it out. So find people that you're also comfortable enough to hey, dude, I have this idea, and then for them to be like, not be like, don't make it, but ask questions about it, because we are asking questions too. So it's like, let them be okay with people asking you if like, is it good? I don't know, this sort of sucks. Just the comfortableness is really important. Every filmmaker has their circle of people that can give them an honest truth, and you don't take it personal.
Yeah.
What really inspired me into like filmmaking stories was a story about Slender Man, and
Oh yeah.
I thought like, let me make a story of how like a myth, like a legend.
Origin story. Yeah.
Let's say a bunch of kids went missing,
That's cool. And then just take that and put your perspective on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then that's it. Because that's the thing. You're not ripping anyone off if it's coming from your perspective.
Yeah, I just
Sure.
come up with like my own kind of entity, like they do in other movies.
And I spent 3 hours writing today. I was looking at that page, and I literally just wrote half a page for 3 hours, and then I took a nap. But because it really does work your mind when you're like just. I'm not saying like, oh, anyone can just go and write. Sometimes it happens, but sometimes you're just like, these 4 words, they don't sound right, you know.
But let me tell you, sometimes ChatGPT can help you with ideas too. So AI now can give you ideas too.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
This
Well,
is where we
AI
start talking about the line between content and art, Ricardo.
That's right.
Well,
No,
A-
honestly,
Yeah.
no. That's
AI
that's
is
a
just-
great. That could be a whole other discussion. But
This-
yeah, like Ricardo said, I mean, and I said this already. It's just don't be afraid to be inspired by the world around you, and that includes the artificial, intelligence dynamic that we're seeing, being put out there. But yeah, I guess we're coming to a close.
Yeah, we coming.
I just wanted to, before we do wrap things up, I want to invite everybody who wants to participate in DC Shorts, because we are always looking for volunteers. Please, hit us up. I guess we could probably share my email, BEAU @dcshorts.com. Right there, we'll probably chop it up and you guys can put it on. But also, as we kind of close things out, we do have some T-shirts for anybody who's gone the distance. You guys will be rewarded with some swag from DC Shorts International Film Festival.
Wait, before we wrap, because I feel like I didn't talk any production stuff. Is there anyone that has a production, really deep production question? I don't want to just say
We
we're
talked about
just
the
talking
writers' room
fluff.
right there already. You just
So how do you balance entertainment value with conveying a deeper message or theme in your film?
I feel like that comes with the character. I feel like character will guide you in which way you want to go, because balancing entertainment value with the story. How do you balance that? Some of us would say it comes down to editing too, because I feel like you can edit something super serious. If you cut it a certain way, that thing becomes funny as hell.
yeah, it's true. But yeah, like you said, it depends on the complexity of the characters that you are creating.
And also, I feel like that type of storytelling really comes down to the filmmaker and what type of story they want to tell and how they want to tell it.
Right.
Because that's what's really
treatment.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like Scorsese's made a living off of this. He'd take diabolical characters, in I guess Wolf of Wall Street, and he made it super entertaining and fun. And you're like, I want to be just like that. But you're like, wait a minute, that's wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
So in a sense, that is that voice. So it comes down to how you want to tell the story. And editing.
All right, so hey, you guys got to come back. We have cohorts in the spring.
Anytime. Yeah.
We have cohorts in the fall.
That's if they'll have us back. I mean, if you guys want.
No,
us to
we
come
want you
yeah.
back. I thought this was amazing, and then maybe we can do it more and stuff like that, and talk about different topics too. Today
Sure.
was amazing.
We
wanna
can
say
talk
thank
gear
you.
too. Everyone wants to talk gear. I'm all about
Well,
gear.
while we have Georgia here, because when we met, right, Kathy, Georgia, Ricardo, you guys were in our award show. How did you guys feel about the show, real quick? Because I was brand new. Kathy, you want to get up? Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Kathy. I'm a part of DCMedia Academy, but I'm a filmmaking student. I just been part of this year of the 10-week filmmaking program. It was amazing experience for me. And yeah, I just meet with Joe and Bo in the DC Short Film Festival. It was an amazing experience. Be there, just interacting with people, just really get in the moment that creators are there. I feel like it's an amazing experience, and I just want to invite you guys and everyone just to another session of DCMedia Talks
Absolutely.
and analyze most close in detail some short films. We talk about it, so maybe I know you guys are really into this, and me like a filmmaker, like a student, I would love it just to get your feedback for my short film. So
It sucks.
so let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, maybe like this. In this way, I wanna learn more and I wanna move forward. So thank you for being here. Really
thank you
appreciate it,
guys,
and
yeah.
everyone too.
I would say I really enjoyed being at DC Shorts, specifically because I felt like it appealed to young people. Being, Gen Z and in college, I feel like not only is it a very male-dominated industry, but everybody's older than me. So, like, being able to come to a place like the Alamo and have a much more down-to-earth sort of event with DC Shorts, like, it makes you guys feel more accessible to more people.
Right on. Was it the venue that made it feel that way, or what?
I mean, it was a lot. You mixed music with your film, and the way that you guys talked to the audience and had a personal connection with most, if not all, the people that were there, it kind of gave it a more personal, younger feel.
Shout outs to the staff, right? Our director of operations, made sure that was also from the greeting at the box office all the way into the actual venue.
So it was very engaging.
Awesome.
I enjoyed myself a lot.
We appreciate that.
And that was a precursor. I'm glad that you mentioned that, the whole blending of the music. We had talked about that. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying. And I'll probably just end off on this unless are we still doing Q&A?
I'll keep going if you want.
Yeah, we can go. That's why they're going to have to schedule us again.
Yes.
We got some stuff back there. We can mingle and all that. But
Sure. No, yeah. So once again, this is for the area. We talked about just, bigging up the area right here. Okay. You guys see this right here? All the way in the back. Do you see the Lincoln Memorial? Yeah. Washington Monument? Yeah. Stars and bars, the DC flag? Yeah. You see that, yeah? But do you see a word that was designed in the monument? Say it one more time. Soul. You got it. Soul. Bringing soul to the city, right? That's through your pieces of art, your creativity, right? But now that you decoded that, read the whole thing out loud. One more time.
You guys.
Your social network. Your social network.
This is like a class where people are like...
Your social network, because we're building a community. Regardless of artistic discipline, we want you guys to come together, regardless of what type of artist you are. So if you're a filmmaker, if you're a musician, right there, like Edgar in the back, right? If you want to come together, if you're a visual artist and the painters, we want you guys to take the time to work on your soul. Because when you do that, when you take the time to work on your soul shall find you work. And I think that's what the DC Media Academy is helping, to create, right? To curate. And we want to be a part of that. So, yes, you guys keep doing that. You had mentioned, right, like the higher being, whatever you believe in. I like to say when you take, not only taking the time on your soul, but God wouldn't give us the ability to dream if it wasn't attainable, if it wasn't in your means. So meet your destiny halfway. That way no one can say you didn't give your best. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. So I guess we only have a few shirts, so how did you want to kind of throw this out? Like,
so
let's start over with the people who ask questions.
So everyone who gets a question gets a shirt?
Well, the ones that actually ask questions was the first one right here. You want, boom, come on up, claim your shirt.
What size are you? It doesn't matter. What?
Yeah, okay, well, let's see if we got, you can pick. Since you were the first question, I'll let you choose, and then we will figure out the best way to give out the rest of the shirts. So they're all awesome. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Boom. But thank you for having us. We appreciate the time, attention, and affection. Well, shout out to you guys for DC Media Academy for what you guys are doing. So thank you so much. Yeah. Make some noise.
All right, so you guys can mingle.
Okay.
We can go. We got some drinks and snacks back there too.
No, it's awesome.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
If anybody want to talk to me about the filmmaking program, just come and approach me. We can talk.
So, what's that? Yeah, what size are you? So, yeah, make sure you guys sign up. Shorts, you like that? Okay, cool. Thank you. Anybody, an extra large? Extra large. 3X? Oh, shoot, I should have my big boy shirt. You know what, come out to...
Ay, sweetie. Batamos nunca hablarnos de amor. Quedamos en alejarnos mejor. Me llama cuando quieras calor, que será mejor que el anterior. Disfruto verte en ropa interior. Hace que tú te vengas tantas veces en un gol. Quiero ir si yo le doy mi lollipop, pop, pop, pop. Si me vuelve loco si chupa, pop, pop, pop. Si me voy a y suena pa' tu novio una pistola que se plop, plop, plop. Ella dice yo le di mi lollipop. Pa' que ella le chupa, pop, pop. Se mojó y abajo le suena. Pa' tu novio una pistola que se plop, 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 plop. Yo se lo metí piche. Le di tanto bicho que hasta la embiché. No quería la leche y ahora busca la leche. Ella quería un polvo y yo como 7 leche. Es que se lo metí piche. Le di tanto bicho mi alma que hasta la embiché. No quería la leche y ahora busca la leche. Ella quería un polvo y yo como 7 leche. Y te empiezo a mover. Yo cierro los ojos y no te quiero ver. Tú eres una matemática sin entender. Que le sumo a ella que era hasta el otro nivel.